What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we will be talking about DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, DLC has replaced third versions. They confirmed that with Sword and Shield, but unlike Sword and Shield, we actually have gotten a taste of what DLC could look like for these games, as there are plenty of teases within the Scarlet and Violet base game for what their DLC will look like. So for one, we know that there will be Paradox versions of Suicune / Entei / Raikou and Virizion / Cobalion / Terrakion. Now, you're going to be able to get this Paradox version of the legendary beasts in Pokemon Scarlet, and you're going to be able to get the Paradox version of the Swords of Justice in Pokemon Violet. We also know that there is going to be some ties to what people are calling the third legendary, as there is a detailed description of something down at the bottom of Area 0 that has some kind of hexagonal shell and is believed to be the cause of the Teras gimmick. So that's pretty interesting. Now, what I'm imagining for this DLC is that part 1 will dive into these things. It will have you go further into Area 0, encountering the legendary that resides there, learning more about the Terastal phenomenon, perhaps even seeing some special Terastal forms. Think of how Gigantamax is to Dynamax, where every Pokemon can Dynamax, but only some Pokemon can take on a special form of Dynamax called Gigantamaxing, like Gengar or Machamp. Well, this would be the case here as well. Terastal would allow for Pokemon to... this new version of Terastal, rather, would allow Pokemon to access a special Terastal gimmick that would have, like, its own special hat, as I guess we could call them, and would likely give it a different kind of boost, or maybe even a stronger boost. We could see these for the starter Pokemon. We could see these for, let's face it, like it or love it, or hate it completely, we could see this for Charizard. So all of that is perfectly plausible in this first pack of DLC, which I am coining the Crystal Kingdom. I imagine that we could go further into Area 0 and perhaps discover that maybe there's a civilization down there. Perhaps people who worship the third legendary. This is all speculative, of course, but I think that could be a lot of fun. We could perhaps learn about the history of Area 0, which I think we already know a little bit about, because I think it's totally the ultimate weapon from Kalos that caused this place. But perhaps we'll learn more about the spoilers here, time travel, the time machine that the professors have made, and learn how that was possible, what kind of energy was put into that. Just all kinds of questions still surrounding the end game of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and this would lead to answers. Also, perhaps that's where this third legendary comes into play. Perhaps it's been angered because of the destruction of the time machine at the end of the Scarlet and Violet plot. Perhaps disturbed its slumber, if you will. And so now it's starting to rampage, and it's kind of a thing of, hey, if this thing gets out of Area 0, well, Paldea's in trouble. We gotta put a stop to this. Now, I think that our discoveries in this DLC could lead us straight into the second DLC. I am assuming that these games will have a second DLC, just like Sword and Shield had the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. I imagine this game will have the Crystal Kingdom, and then I am not creative enough to come up with a second name. But I have an idea of what it could be. I think that we could see this take place in the Azores Islands, which is, of course, this place in Portugal that is just beautiful. It's kind of like, people compare it to like Hawaii, because it's not actually in Portugal, but it is a part of Portugal. It's way out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it is, I mean, seriously, it's really stunning, guys. Like, it's really, really pretty, and I really hope this does come true. Perhaps here we will learn about just more about the culture of the region, just kind of let it be a more isolated plot, very similar to how the Crown Tundra was very isolated from Sword and Shield. I think that could be a lot of fun, and I think because of how far out it is, we could see some diverse new Pokemon there as well. Perhaps a new legendary Pokemon to kind of serve as a mascot there, similar to Calyrex being the mascot of the Crown Tundra, or Kubfu being the mascot of the Isle of Armor. And, of course, maybe there's the potential for new regional variants, or even these new convergent evolution Pokemon like Wiglet or Toedscool could also pop up here as well. That would be super, super interesting. Now, I would absolutely love for these games to have a third batch of DLC. Now, I don't necessarily think it will happen, but I do think that you're screaming at the screen wanting me to explain this, and that is, there is an area of the map in Scarlet and Violet that has been kind of fuzzed out, but it's also been kind of made its own little space on the map, and people think that this could be a DLC area. Now, I could see this being one of two things. I could see this being a third DLC, or I could see this being part of the first DLC with the Crystal Kingdom. But I think this will, once again, further explain the creation of Area Zero, and perhaps the energy that flows there that allows for this legendary to create the terrestrial phenomenon, and for the professors to create a time machine. Now, I think that this region could be South Kalos. We know that the Kalos region exists, but we also know that there is a region below Kalos called South Kalos, and Kalude City, which you could see in the Kalos region, is kind of the gateway to it. So we could see South Kalos. That could be what this is, as it would correspond to real world France, which is right above real world Spain, and this is right above Paldea, which is Pokemon's version of Spain. So yeah, I could really see this happening. Perhaps we go here to learn more about the ultimate weapon and its effect on it, and perhaps even see a different side of kind of the whole war that happened years ago between Kalos, and hopefully we'll find out the other perpetrator of this war is Paldea, and we'll learn about South Kalos, which maybe just being speculative was a part of Kalos at the time, but actually broke away from Kalos once the ultimate weapon was launched. And, it'd be cool to see kind of a neutral view, and this is where we get big tinfoil hat with this. This would be a good place to see Mega Evolution return. Now, I know some people will be like, no, Mega Evolution can't return. That would be too broken. Well, I'm sure that it would have its balances. I imagine that Mega Evolution would, if returning, be like you'd have the option to Mega Evolve, and you'd have the option to Terrestrial in battle, like one of each, but you could not Mega Evolve your Lucario and then Terrestrialize your Mega Lucario. That would not be the case. It would be you either Mega Evolve your Lucario or you Terrestrialize it. So I don't think that we need to worry about the game being too competitive there. I mean, my God, have y'all seen Iron Bundle stats? We don't need to worry about Mega Evolution coming into the game. Have you seen Iron Bundle stats? Anyways, I think that these really could come in, and there's been some teases to it in the games. There's also, frankly, been some teasers to it by some leakers in the community, so I really do think that this is possible. I also think that a South Kalos DLC would be so cool, and it'd be so cool to connect these regions. Whatever happens, I'm super excited for DLC, and I'll be making some more videos on what kinds of things we could see on DLC in the future. So on that note, you don't want to miss those videos, so be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you stay up to date and you get notified when those videos pop up. Also, be sure to comment below what you want DLC to look like for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. And let me know, do you think Megas could return, or would that be too broken? All that in the comments below. Until next time, I will see all of you later.